Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to cover the Vision IAS Monthly magazine of July 2025. The Polity section is already covered. In this part, we are going to cover the IR section. Now let's start. So first is related to India UK Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. Basically, the trade agreement has been signed between India and UK. Now understand three important things. See, after Brexit, UK was looking for new trade partners. On the other hand, India is also planning to have multiple trade agreement with the different countries, especially in the background of imposition of tariff by USA. We are looking new trade partners, and that's why this trade agreement is quite significant. Now, what are the important provisions? First thing first, we have signed the CETA. Now, apart from that, India and UK have also announced their vision of 2035. The objective is to increase our collaboration in different sectors. So this is going to reduce the tariff and this will provide us a market of UK. On the other hand, India have not opened its market in sensitive sectors. Understand this point carefully. We have not opened our dairy sector, for example. Why we have not opened? Because if we will allow imports into these sectors, there will be direct competition for our farmers. We don't want that. The same story or same problem is being faced in our negotiation with USA. US want us to reduce our tariff in dairy sectors. On the other hand, our argument is that it is our kind of vulnerability. We don't want to open that sector. The same argument or the same problem was faced during the RCEP negotiation. What was RCEP? Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. India is not a member of RCEP. One of the leading factor behind not joining RCEP was the sector itself. Okay. So we will get access to the market of UK. Apart from that, there is a provision for professional mobility. Understand in a very simplified sense, they will recognize the degree given by Indian institutions. I'm oversimplifying it. Similarly, we are going to recognize the degree given by their institutions. So this will promote the mobility of the professionals from one country to another country. Then rules of origin are simplified. Rules of origin basically means this pen has originated from India. So what will happen if exporter will be able to certify that it has been originated from India? So UK will be able to provide lower tariff to this because we have signed it a trade agreement. But if these rules are complex, the export will face problems. So these are some of the important things. Apart from that, there is a provision of double contribution convention. Understand in a very simple sense, let's say TCS is sending its employee to UK. So TCS is paying the social security benefit in India, and if the employee will go to UK, in UK also they need to contribute. So this was double contribution, one contribution in India, one contribution in UK. Now after this FTA, both government have agreed that for the 3 years, if our employee is there in UK for 3 years, they need not to contribute in the UK social security system for up to 3 years. If they stay longer, then of course they need to. So that is something which is important. Apart from that, we have a trade of roughly $50 billion and we intend to double it by 2030. So these are some of the important points. Next is related to India Maldives. So understand, for Maldives, we have issued a line of credit. Now understand the concept of line of credit in a very simple sense. We are giving, or let's say I have issued a line of credit. So in a very simple sense, I am giving you, let's say 500 rupee. You can withdraw it whenever you need it. And you will have to pay interest only on the amount which you have withdrawn. So it is immediate kind of loan which is available and you can use it whenever you need it. So that is kind of a line of credit. Apart from that, we have also started our FTA negotiation. What was FTA? Free trade agreement. That simply means reduce tariff or reduce trade barriers. Then UPI was launched in Maldives. So that is basically our digital infrastructure is being used for digital payments. Now, why Maldives is so significant? Because of its geographical location or its proximity to the important choke points. Now, India is net security provider. What is net security provider? See, net security provider basically means we will make sure that entire region is safe and secure. And whenever required, we are going to provide assistance. For example, two major policy are there, or vision are there. One is Sagar. What is Sagar? Security and growth for all in the region. And then there is a Mahasagar. So just remember these terms. These are talking about India's approach towards this Indo-Pacific region, that we are going to provide security, we will provide you humanitarian assistance whenever required. So we have neighborhood first policy, vision of Sagar and Mahasagar. Now understand what is the major challenge in India Maldives relation. So under President Muzu, basically we witnessed India Out campaign. India Out campaign basically means the pro China regime was there, so they tried to push India out of Maldives in a very simple sense. That means anti India campaign were arranged, but now things are more or less online. So this is the geographical location of Maldives. This is our country. Next is related to China's hydropower project, and the name of the dam is Medog Dam. Now understand, just let me show you the geographical location. So this is Brahmaputra River. This is Brahmaputra River. Now in China, it is basically referred as Yarlung Sangpo River. In India, it is and it enters into our Arunachal Pradesh, and there it is referred as Siang. What China is doing? China is trying to construct a dam here. Why we are having a problem? Because there are two fundamental issues. A, China will be able to control the water flow, so it can lead, or it can increase or decrease the flow of water, which may lead to flood like situation into our country. That's first thing. Second thing is that China usually do not share water related information on prompt basis. For example, recently there was instance of flood in Nepal because China did not share water information on time. So these are two major issues. Now India is also constructing a dam, and that is basically referred as Siang Upper Multipurpose Project. But this is being opposed by the local people. They are saying that construction of this dam will lead to displacement, and that's why the communities who reside there, they are opposing it. So these are some of the important points related to this dam. The name of the dam is, just a sec, name of the river is Yarlung Sangpo, that is Brahmaputra River itself, and the name of the dam is Medog Dam. It is going to be the biggest one. Next is India Africa relation. So understand first, let's have a look at the geographical location. Just a second. See, this is India, this is Africa. Now, with this Eastern Africa, we have decent relationship. Decent in the sense we have a regular engagement because of its proximity. The problem is that Western Africa was more or less sidelined, and that's why this time Prime Minister visited various Western African countries, and this particular report is in that background itself. So, Prime Minister visited Ghana and Namibia, and that's why we are trying to increase our diplomatic presence in these countries. Now, India follow Kampala principles. Understand what is this Kampala principle? In a very simple sense, India's approach of engagement, be it Afghanistan, be it these African countries, our approach of engagement is of capacity building. That simply means we focus on their development. We focus on developing their capacities, and that's why our approach is very different from that of China. China basically does one thing. China will provide cheaper loan, that is referred as debt trap diplomacy. China will provide cheaper loan, and then China will start exploiting the resources from that particular country. So these are two different approaches. India as a capacity building partner. On the other hand, China is someone who exploit resources. In fact, there was resistance against Chinese agreements in Africa. Various countries are now pressurizing China to renegotiate those agreements, especially related to the extraction of rare earth element. In a very simple sense, China have signed agreements with various African countries. The agreement had proposal of giving local employment, and all those factors were there. Now people in these countries are protesting against these agreement. Why they are protesting? A, this exploration of resources, this leads to pollution of environment. Plus, China is not processing those minerals in those countries itself. China extract them and then process them in China. So they are saying that you had promised to give us jobs. You are not giving us jobs. You are just taking our resources, and that too is leading to pollution of our environment. So that's why they are pressurizing the people of these countries. They are pressurizing their government to renegotiate the agreement. Okay. Now in Africa, India and Japan both are collaborating for Asia Africa growth corridor. Apart from that, India is the leader of Global South. Global South basically refers to the developing countries of Southern Hemisphere. We have also increased our engagement with African country. Africa, India exercise, maritime exercise is there. Now, Africa and India, basically they are very close in terms of their past also. We were colonies. Now also we have a similar vision of multipolar world. So the areas of cooperation are trade, energy, and soft power. These are roughly 50 countries. They have a significant voting power. India need these votes for a seat in United Nations Security Council, permanent seat in United Nations Security Council. What are the major concern? One of the biggest concern is that India commits, but India is not able to fulfill these commitments on time. On the other hand, China have deep pockets. That simply means they have more financial resources and therefore they are able to deliver on time. So, what is way forward? We have to address this delay in execution of different projects. Next is India, Latin America, and Caribbean relations. So, recently, Prime Minister visited these countries. First, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina, Brazil. Now, Prime Minister visited Brazil because of BRICS summit. Understand two, three important things. We have decided to have 2+2 dialogue with Brazil. Apart from that, there is agreement related to mineral exploration. See, ABC country. What are ABC? Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. They are basically referred as lithium triangle countries. So they have significant lithium deposit. India is heavily dependent on imports, so that's why we have signed an agreement for lithium exploration. Why lithium is required? For example, for electric vehicle batteries. Okay. Now we have also significant trade of soybean oil imports from Argentina. Trade is not that much significant. It is roughly $35 billion. Understand, this itself shows the low level of economic integration between Latin American countries and India. A, there are multiple reasons for this. A, the distance is quite significant. B, there are language barriers. C, we have not given them that much priority which we should have, and that's why now Prime Minister have decided to visit these countries. Okay. Now we have given line of credit to Caribbean community. CARICOM is nothing but Caribbean community. So there are multilateral platform. For example, BRICS is there, IBSA, India, Brazil, South Africa is there. G4 is a group which demand expansion of United Nations Security Council. CARICOM is there, that is Caribbean community. Now understand, there is a Mercosur trade agreement. What is Mercosur? It is a trade agreement between the countries of Latin America or South America. But there are various disputes, just like we are having disputes in SARC. Disputes basically means there are different groups. So the collaboration is not that much. So this is Latin America, this is Brazil. This was the host of this year BRICS summit. And this is Argentina, Chile, and Bolivia. Next is related to BRICS summit, which was hosted by Brazil in Rio de Janeiro. This was 17th summit and it expanded to 11 members. Indonesia joined it. Now understand, there are few important development related to BRICS. Understand, BRICS is trying to position itself as non-West organization. See, there are two terms, anti-West and non-West. India prefer to call it non-West. That means Western countries are not part of it. On the other hand, countries like China try to use it as a counter to Western countries. That's why they prefer to call it anti-West. These are minor nuances which you should keep in mind. So the a recent BRICS summit focused on SDD. What is SDD? Socially determined disease. In a very simple sense, these diseases are linked to poverty. So somehow we have to address the problem of poverty to deal with these diseases. Then it also discussed on climate finance. See, climate finance basically says that developed countries, they have used the resources, they have increased the global temperature. Now they have developed, so they are having resources and technology. On the other hand, developing countries are still struggling, so that's why they demand financial resources. During Baku summit of COP29, it was decided that developed countries will provide $300 billion per year. Who is going to provide? Developed countries. To whom? Developing countries. For what purpose? To deal with the climate change. So the BRICS summit also emphasized on that. Apart from that, it also highlighted Tropical Forest Forever Fund. Tropical Forest Forever Fund, which was launched at COP28. What is the objective? The name itself is self-explanatory. Objective is to preserve the tropical forest. What is the goal? Goal is to arrange $4 billion annually. Apart from that, the BRICS also emphasized on global AI governance declaration. See, understand, with increasing use of AI, we also need to focus on AI governance, because understand, most of these technological companies, they are associated to USA. So we need to make sure that this entire data that is not being misused. So these are common issue. For example, the BRICS countries have demanded reforms in United Nations Security Council. Multipolar world is required. We need to collaborate with global South countries, and it also demanded reforms in Bretton Woods institution. IMF and World Bank, they are referred as Bretton Woods institution. WTO is also kind of non-functional. Understand why I am saying so? See, in WTO, World Trade Organization, there is a appellate tribunal. So if there is a dispute between countries, first there will be consultation, then the matter will reach to DSB, that is Dispute Settlement Body. Whatever is the judgment, that can be appealed in appellate tribunal or appellate body. The problem is that it does not have required number of judges. Why it does not have? Because USA has blocked the appointment. That's why we are saying that WTO is non-functional. Next is related to Geelong Treaty under AUKUS. Now understand, India have a policy of non-alignment, especially in military terms. What does that mean? We don't want to be part of any military alliance. Therefore, Quad is there. What is Quad? Quadrilateral Security Dialogue. So it's a security group consisting Australia, India, Japan, and US. But it is not a military alliance. We don't want to be part of any military alliance. That's why US have signed agreement with countries like Australia and UK to promote military cooperation, and that is basically referred as AUKUS. The name itself is self-explanatory: Australia, UK, and US. Now, under this Geelong Treaty was signed, or this agreement is for nuclear powered submarine partnership and collaboration treaty. In a very simple sense, UK is going to provide, and UK is going to collaborate with Australia for nuclear powered submarine. So that is the basic objective. You need not to go into too much detail. Name says who are the partners. So Australia, UK, US are the partners. It was founded in 2021. There are two major pillars. One pillar is related to shipbuilding and submarines. Second pillar is related to advanced technology or advanced communication. Next is Girmitier community. See, understand, India was a colony of Britishers. So in past, what they did, they used to take Indians to different other colonies to work in plantation sector. These workers who were taken by the Britishers, they are basically referred as a part of Girmitier community. This Girmitier is its mispronunciation of the term agreement. So in a very simple sense, these were the labor which were taken from India, and later they got settled into different colonies of UK or colonies of Britain. So why it was in news? Because recently Prime Minister visited different countries, and in these countries there is a significant presence of these community. So they are our diaspora. Next is Kaladan multimodal project. Understand. Just a second. See, this is Chicken Neck Corridor. This is narrow passage which connect our northeast. Now the problem is that it is quite narrow, and that's why it is very vulnerable. That simply means China can attack it. Therefore, we need to create alternative connectivity route. For that purpose, we have collaborated with Myanmar, and this is basically referred as Kaladan Multimodal Project. Now, what we are doing, we are trying to connect to our northeast through one more alternative route. Through this, we are collaborating with Myanmar, and for that, there is a Sitwe port. This is name of port, and the name of the entire project is Kaladan multimodal. Multimodal means what? Different mode of transportation. Port connectivity is there, then there is a highway connectivity. So this way, we will be able to connect to our northeast area. What is the problem in this entire project? Problem is delay. Why there is a delay? Because Myanmar is not having democratically elected government. They have overthrown their government, and now there is a military rule. So because of this instability, there is a delay. Next is US out of UNESCO. Now understand, US have decided to quit various organizations and agreement. UNESCO is one such organization. Now WHO is another organization. It decided to quit Paris Agreement also. So what USA is doing, USA is taking a step back. This is leaving a space, and China is trying to fill that vacuum. For example, in Afghanistan, USA decided to exit. Now China is occupying that space in Afghanistan. So in a very simple sense, you can see that US is leaving a gap and China is trying to fill that gap. Next is related to group of friends. So understand, it is nothing but an initiative of India to make sure that there is accountability of all the acts of violence against our UN peacekeepers. Understand, UN deploy peacekeeping forces in different countries which face violence. Now sometimes what happens is that there is a violence against these peacekeeping forces. To make sure that we identify those who are responsible for it, there is this group. What is the name? Group of Friends, or GOF. So just remember, this is related to the violence or accountability for violence against the peacekeeping forces. India is one of the leading contributor in United Nations peacekeeping forces. Next is Pact for the Future. Name itself is self-explanatory that we are talking about the future related initiatives. For example, we are talking about peace, sustainable development, climate change, and digital governance. So this was adopted at UN Summit of the Future 2024. India recently emphasized these principles. That's why it was in news. Next is related to ICC. ICC was set up through Rome Statute. India is not a part. In fact, countries like Russia, they are also not a part. Why we are not a part? We says that we have our own judicial system. So if something like crime is going to be there, we will punish it according to our own judicial system. That is our argument. Why it was in news recently? Because recently Ukraine decided to join it, and it became 125th member. Next is related to E3, that is three economies of Europe, that is France, Germany, and UK. Now understand, there is a JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. In a very simplified sense, it was an agreement between Iran and P5 plus one. What is plus one? Germany is that plus one. Agreement was with Iran. For what purpose? That Iran is not going to make nuclear weapon. Now during his first term, US decided to first term of Trump, US decided to quit this. It is alleged that Iran is making nuclear weapon. That's why these countries have threatened Iran to impose sanctions on it. Sanctions basically means restrictions. So that is why it was in news. Next is Global Peace Index. It is released by IEP, that is Institute for Economics and Peace. Top country is Iceland, most peaceful. Least peaceful is Russia, and India is on 115th position. Next is related to Red Sea crisis. First, have a look at the geographical location. See, this is Red Sea. This is Yemen. Now, in Yemen, there is a rebel group named as Houthi rebels. These rebel groups are basically backed by countries like Iran. In fact, Iran provides assistance to these countries, these groupings. Houthis in Yemen, Hamas in Gaza, and Hezbollah in Lebanon. This entire grouping is basically referred as axis of resistance. Okay, now coming to the main point. These rebel groups, they basically attack the ships which pass through this region, and this is one of the most important route for passage because this is going through Suez Canal. So what is happening is that a the maritime security is facing problem. B, the cost of insurance has also increased. Why insurance has increased? Understand what is happening. Insurance companies are saying that now there is a higher risk, you need to pay more price for the insurance. That's why the cost of transportation has also increased. Now what is happening, a this route is now quite volatile. That's why sometimes what the countries have to do, the shipment need to be transported via Cape of Good Hope, that is via Africa. So that is going to increase the time and money for the transportation. Okay, this is the entire issue. So Houthis attack on the shipping affect the global trade via Suez Canal, and that's why the import and export cost has increased. Apart from that, insurance premium has also increased. Now, in order to ensure maritime security, India had launched Operation Sankalp. Next is related to New Caledonia. Now, understand. Just a second. This is New Caledonia. This is Australia. Now, this is a French territory. The people of this region, they demand autonomy. They simply say that we want to gain independence. On the other hand, France as of now have not agreed or accepted these demands. However, France has given more autonomy to them. So just remember, it is near Australia and it is a colony of France. Next is M23 rebel group. Now understand 2-3 important points. Just have a look at the geographical location. This is DRC, that is Democratic Republic of Congo. It is a mineral rich area. This is Rwanda, and this red area, this basically refers to the dominance of M23 rebel group. This rebel group is supported by Rwanda. Now you might wonder why Rwanda is going to support it. The president of Rwanda is from Tutsi community. These rebel group are also from Tutsi community, and that's why basically the Rwanda claim itself as the protector of Tutsi. And there is a constant tussle between these grouping, that is M23 and DRC. Now, it is quite problematic for even for countries like US. Why US is a stakeholder in this thing? This is mineral rich area. Until unless there is a peace, US won't be able to explore those mineral resources. So that's why US is quite interested into ensuring a peace between these groups. So that is why it was in news that DRC and Rwanda backed M23 rebel groups have agreed for a permanent ceasefire. Now, what is M23? It is March 23 movement. This M23 group consists of ethnic group, that is Tutsi. Next is related to Henley Passport Index. So India's rank has improved. Previously it was 85, now it is 77. It simply says that how conveniently you can travel to other countries with this passport. So this is our ranking, and these were the important current affairs related to IAS section. Polity is already done. Now please remember one thing, the PDF, these two PDF, they are available on the Civils Academy app. You can check it from there. Thank you.